Hey friends, welcome back. This is an original story from Hidden Revenge Family, and it took a turn you truly didn't see coming. Let's get into it.
I showed up 10 minutes late, which in my family counts as a public statement. My dad's 60th birthday was in full swing at the estate. Valet lined up out front. Caterers moving like they were on rails. 40 guests, maybe more, all dressed like they had something to prove. Senior executives, retired officers, a couple of politicians who suddenly remembered we existed. The kind of crowd that shakes hands too long and smiles too wide. I walked in wearing the only thing I had clean. Plain shirt, dark pants, no makeup, no effort. I'd just gotten back a few hours earlier, no sleep, no time to pretend I cared. No one noticed me at first. That's normal. In this house, I've always been background noise. Madeline was at the center of it all, exactly where she likes to be. Perfect dress, perfect hair, perfect volume level, so the entire room could hear her without trying. She had a glass of champagne in one hand, and Julian on her arm like a trophy she picked up on sale. And that's when they signed, she said loud enough to carry. 10 million, clean, up front. A few people clapped, someone whistled. My dad stood next to her, smiling like he personally negotiated the deal. "That's my girl," he said. "Always delivers." Of course he did. I didn't walk over, I didn't say hi. I grabbed a seat at the far end of the table near the edge where the light doesn't hit as hard. There was a place card with my name on it, but no one had noticed it was empty until I filled it. A server came by and set down a plate. I nodded, didn't say anything. I wasn't hungry, I just needed something in front of me so I didn't look like I was waiting for permission to exist. I could hear Madeline from across the room still going. Numbers, contracts, expansion plans. She always sounds like a press release. Someone asked what I'd been up to. She laughed. "Oh, Cassie," she said. "Same old. Inventory, logistics, counting boxes somewhere no one cares about." A couple people chuckled. Safe laughter, polite. I kept my eyes on the table. Julian leaned in and said something to her. I didn't catch it, but I saw his wrist when he lifted his glass. Patek Philippe, not subtle, not something you buy on a government salary, especially not his. Noted. I picked up my fork, moved some food around, didn't eat any of it. Madeline's voice got closer. That's when I knew. She doesn't let things sit. If she sees weakness, she walks straight toward it. Her heels clicked across the floor, slow and deliberate. She stopped right next to my chair. Close enough that I could smell her perfume. Expensive, overused. "You're back," she said. I didn't look up right away. I finished moving a piece of chicken from one side of the plate to the other, then set the fork down. "Looks like it," I said. She tilted her head, studying me like I was something that showed up uninvited. "You couldn't try a little harder?" she asked. "This is Dad's birthday." I shrugged. I made it. That's the effort. A couple people nearby turned their heads. Conversation slowed just enough to listen without being obvious. Madeline smiled, but it wasn't friendly. "You always do the bare minimum," she said. "It's kind of impressive." I leaned back in my chair. "You invited me?" "No," she said. "Dad did. I just assumed you'd have the sense to stay away." There it was, clean, direct, exactly how she likes it. I nodded once, noted. For a second I thought she might leave it there. She had her audience. She'd made her point. But Madeline doesn't stop at a point. She goes for a reaction. She reached over, picked up the glass of ice water from the table. Not hers. Mine. I watched her fingers wrap around it. Still didn't move. The room got quieter. Not silent, but close. The kind of quiet where people pretend they're still talking while they angle their bodies toward the show. Madeline lifted the glass slightly like she was considering it. Then she dumped it straight in my face. Cold water. Ice hitting my cheek, sliding down my collar, soaking through of the shirt in seconds. No one moved. You could hear the forks hit plates, one by one, soft, uneven. Madeline set the empty glass back on the table like she'd just finished a normal drink. "Wake up, Cassie," she said, her voice flat and clear. "Don't bring that failure look to Dad's birthday. This table is for people who actually achieved something, not for someone counting pencils in a warehouse." A couple people shifted in their seats. No one said a word. I didn't react. No gasp, no argument, no dramatic exit. I reached for the napkin next to my plate, unfolded it, and wiped the water off my face. Slow, careful, like I was cleaning up a spill that didn't matter. The ice had already melted into my shirt, cold against my skin, annoying but not new. I set the napkin down, then I looked up, not at her, at Julian. His hand was still resting on the back of her chair. The watch caught the light again. Clean face, no scratches, recent. Patek Philippe. Easily 6 figures. I held my gaze there for a second longer than normal. He noticed, shifted slightly, just enough. Good. Then I looked back at Madeline. She was waiting, expecting something. Tears, maybe. Anger. Anything she could point to and say, "See, this is why she doesn't belong here." I gave her nothing. "Done?" I asked. The smile on her face tightened. "That's it," she said. No comeback, no attitude. I picked up the glass she'd just emptied, turned it slightly, checked the base like I was inspecting it. "You missed a spot," I said. "Left side." A few people let out short breaths. Not laughter, not quite. Madeline's jaw shifted. "You're unbelievable," she said. "I've been called worse," I replied. My dad finally stepped in like he just remembered he was hosting. "All right, that's enough," he said. Not to her, to the room. "Let's keep things civil. Civil, right?" Madeline rolled her eyes, then leaned in closer to me, lowering her voice just enough to sound private but still carry. "You don't belong here," she said. "And everyone knows it?" I met her eyes this time. "Then stop inviting me," I said. She straightened up, smoothed her dress, and turned back toward the center of the room like nothing happened. Conversation slowly picked back up. Louder than before, people overcompensating. I sat there for another 10 seconds. Then I stood up. Not in a rush, not making a scene, just done. I pushed the chair and grabbed another napkin, pressed it once against my collar, and dropped it back on the table. As I walked past my dad, he didn't look at me. Of course he didn't. Outside air felt better, cooler, quieter, real. I didn't stop until I reached the end of the driveway. No one followed. I pulled out my phone, looked at the time, then locked the screen again. Madeline thought she'd just proved something with a glass of water. She had no idea what she actually started. Because the moment that water hit my face, something else clicked into place. Not anger, not embarrassment, a decision. And decisions in my line of work don't stay small. By the time I got to my car, I already knew my next move. And it wasn't going to be a conversation. It was going to be an investigation. I didn't go home. I drove straight to base badge already in my hand before the engine was off. The guard at the gate scanned it, looked at me, then waved me through without a word. Good, I wasn't in the mood for small talk. It was 03:47 when I parked. By 0400 I was standing inside a level 6 SCIF. No windows, no signal, no noise except the low hum of machines that don't sleep. The kind of room where mistakes don't get corrected, they get documented. I locked the door behind me and dropped my bag on the chair, still wearing the same damp shirt under my jacket. Didn't care, I logged in, multi-factor, token, secondary verification, clearance check, access granted. The screen lit up clean and cold, no distractions, just systems waiting for input. I didn't waste time. I pulled Julian's file first. Official records came up fast, rank, assignment history, procurement access, logistics chain permissions, all standard, all clean, too clean. I opened a secondary window and switched to restricted financial tracking, the kind that doesn't show up unless you know exactly where to look. I typed in his identifiers, hit enter. The first set of numbers rolled in, then the second, then everything else followed. Transfers, shell accounts, offshore routing, structured deposits just under reporting thresholds, repeating patterns across multiple jurisdictions. I leaned back slightly. "Okay," I said under my breath. "Now we're talking." This wasn't sloppy, this was organized. Someone had built a system, not just a side hustle. I flagged the accounts and traced the endpoints. That's when Madeline's name showed up. Not as an owner, as a business interface. Her company was sitting right in the middle of the flow, clean on paper, profitable, impressive growth curve. Exactly the kind of success story she loved to talk about at parties. But behind it, it was a filter. Money came in from Julian's side. It moved through her contracts, got repackaged, then sent back out looking legitimate. I opened her company filings. Everything lined up on the surface. Signed deals, vendor lists, expansion reports. I cross-referenced the vendors. 3 of them didn't exist. 2 were registered to addresses that led to empty buildings. 1 traced back to a holding group flagged 6 months ago for foreign intelligence ties. I stared at the screen for a second. "Seriously," I said. I pulled the procurement logs tied to Julian's clearance. There it was. Component orders, navigation modules, Drone-compatible positioning units. Not full systems, just parts. Small enough to move without drawing attention, valuable enough to matter if they ended up in the wrong place. I matched the shipment records, several lost in transit, several reassigned, several signed off with Julian's authorization, and every single one linked indirectly back to Madeline's company. I exhaled slowly. This wasn't just money, this was supply chain manipulation tied to restricted tech. I opened a new folder and started building the case structure. Clean labels, no assumptions, just evidence. Transaction logs, procurement discrepancies, vendor fraud. I kept going. Time didn't matter in that room. The system clock said 4:38, but it could have been noon, or midnight again. I dug deeper into communication records. Most of it was encrypted, standard, nothing useful on the surface. Then I found something flagged from the previous night. Timestamp matched the party, an audio file. I clicked it, static for half a second. Then Julian's voice. "We don't have time to let this drag out." Madeline answered. "Clear, controlled, relax. I already told you she's not a problem." A pause. "She's back," Julian said. "I saw her. She's not as out of the loop as you think." Madeline let out a short laugh. "She's exactly where she's always been. Nowhere important. I didn't move." Julian lowered his voice. "What if she looks into the accounts?" "She won't," Madeline said. "And even if she tries, we'll handle it." How? Another pause. Then she said it like she was discussing a minor inconvenience. "We get her declared unstable." Silence on my end, not on the recording. Julian didn't respond right away. "You're serious?" "Yes," she said. "It's not hard. She's isolated, no social footprint. No one's going to question it. We say she's been showing signs, stress, paranoia, whatever fits." "And the fund?" he asked. Madeline didn't hesitate. "We move it once she's out of the picture. It's just sitting there anyway. Might as well use it to cover the gap." My grip tightened on the mouse. "That's her grandmother's money," Julian said. And Madeline replied, "You want to go to prison over sentiment?" Another pause. "No," he said. "Good," she answered. "Then stop overthinking it." The file ended. I sat there for a second staring at nothing, not surprised, just confirming. They didn't just underestimate me. They planned to erase me, legally, quietly, efficiently. I leaned forward again and pulled up my own financial file. The trust fund was there, untouched, exactly where it should be, not for long if they had their way. I closed that window, opened a new command line. This part required precision, no noise, no warning. I entered the task force access protocol. Authorization request came up. I entered my credentials, then my designation, squad commander. Clearance verified. The system prompted for operation type. I paused for half a second, then selected targeted financial containment. I entered Julian's identifiers, then Madeline's. Linked entities auto-populated. Good. I reviewed the scope. Accounts would be frozen, access restricted, movement flagged. Any attempt to bypass would trigger alerts across federal channels. No undo button. I thought about the party for exactly 1 second. The water, the silence, the way everyone watched and said nothing. Then I thought about the audio file. Declare her unstable. Move the fund. I placed my fingers on the keyboard. They called me useless, but they needed my money to stay afloat. That was the part that almost made me laugh. Almost. I typed the final line. Command ready. The system waited. I didn't. I hit execute. I left the SCIF and didn't bother changing. Same shirt, same jacket, same mindset. By the time I got back to the house, the sun was barely up. The estate looked quieter in daylight, less impressive, like a set after the cameras shut off. I walked in through the front door. No one stopped me. Of course not. I got a message from my dad before I even made it halfway down the hall. Study now. No good morning. No mention of last night. I turned left and headed straight there. His study hadn't changed in years. Same dark wood, same framed photos of his service, same awards lined up like they were still earning him something. He was standing behind the desk when I walked in, already dressed, already irritated. "You're late," he said. I checked the clock on the wall. I wasn't. "Traffic," I replied. He didn't smile. Close the door. I did. He didn't ask how I was, didn't ask if I was okay after last night. Instead, he reached down, grabbed a document from the desk, and threw it in front of me. It slid across the surface and stopped right at the edge. Sign it, he said. I didn't touch it right away. I glanced down. Power of attorney, broad authority, financial control, asset transfer, everything. I looked back up at him. That was fast, I said. We don't have time to waste, he replied. Of course we didn't. Read it, he added. Like I needed instructions. I know what it is, I said, then sign it. I picked it up anyway, flipped through the pages. Legal language, clean structure. Whoever drafted it knew what they were doing. This wasn't a casual request. This was a plan. You're transferring everything, I said. All accounts, all holdings. Yes, he said. No hesitation. To Madeline, to the family, he corrected. She'll manage it. Right. Why, I asked. He leaned forward slightly, resting his hands on the desk. Because she has a future, he said. You don't. There it was, clear, efficient, no extra words. I set the papers back down. She's expanding, he continued. New project, big opportunity. We need capital to move fast. I asked. He ignored that. You're sitting on money you don't use, he said. It's wasted on you. I tilted my head a little. It's mine. It's family money, he snapped. And the family decides how it's used. I let that sit for a second. Interesting definition. You didn't seem to care about family last night, I said. His jaw tightened. That was a misunderstanding, he said. Madeline went too far. That was his version of accountability. She humiliated me in front of 40 people, I said. And you're still standing, he replied. So clearly it wasn't that serious. I almost laughed. Almost. You're really going with that, I asked. I'm going with reality, he said. And reality is you don't contribute. You don't build anything. You don't bring value to this family. I looked at him for a second longer than necessary. Same man, same voice, different clarity. You think I'm useless, I said. I think you're underperforming, he corrected. And I'm giving you a chance to do something useful for once, by handing over everything I had. That tracks. Sign the paper, he said again. We don't need to drag this out. I didn't move. He picked up a pen and pushed it toward me. Do something for your sister, he added. For your family, one last time. One last time. That part stuck. I reached for the pen, not because I was going to sign, because I wanted to see how far he'd go. He watched my hand closely, expecting compliance, expecting the same version of me he'd always dealt with. The one who stayed quiet, the one who didn't push back. I held the pen over the signature line, didn't write anything. Instead, I looked up at him, straight in the eyes, no hesitation. Dad, I said. He leaned in slightly, waiting. Basic rule. I continued. You don't resupply the enemy when they're already running out of options. He frowned. What are you talking about? I set the pen down. Carefully. I'm not signing this, I said. Silence. Then it hit. His expression shifted from confidence to irritation. Excuse me, he said. You heard me. He straightened up. You don't get to refuse this, he said. This isn't a negotiation. It is now, I replied. His voice got sharper. You're being selfish. No, I said. I'm being aware of what he demanded. I didn't answer that. Not yet. He slapped his hand on the desk. I am your father, he said. You will not walk out of here after everything this family has done for you and act like you owe us nothing. I let him finish. Then I spoke. You're not being manipulated, I said. You're choosing this. He blinked once, not expecting that. What? You're not confused, I continued. You're not missing information. You know exactly what you're doing. His face hardened. Careful, he said. You picked the version of success that looks better in a room, I said. That's it. That's enough, he snapped. Is it? I asked. He stepped around the desk. Sign the paper, he said again, slower this time. Like repeating it would change something. I didn't move. You think she's building something real, I said. You think this is about growth, reputation, expansion. He got closer. It is, he said. I shook my head once. No, I said. It's about covering a problem. That made him pause, just for a second. Then he pushed through it. You don't know what you're talking about, he said. I didn't argue, didn't explain, didn't show him anything. Because this wasn't the moment for evidence. This was the moment for choices. I picked mine. I turned toward the door. Where do you think you're going? He demanded. Out, I said. You don't walk away from this conversation, he said. I just did. His voice followed me. If you leave this room without signing that paper, don't expect anything from this family again. I stopped at the door, not because I needed to think, because I wanted him to hear this clearly. I looked back over my shoulder. Good, I said. Then I opened the door. He raised his voice. You're ungrateful, he shouted. You're a disappointment. You've always been. I closed the door before he finished. The hallway was quiet again. Same house, same walls, different perspective. I walked straight out without stopping, didn't look back, didn't check my phone, didn't second-guess anything, because the decision was already made. He thought he was teaching me loyalty. He thought this was discipline, control, structure, but what he actually did was confirm exactly where everyone stood, and more importantly, where I didn't. By the time I got to my car, I could already map out what was happening on their side. Accounts frozen, access denied, pressure building. Madeline wouldn't understand it yet. Julian would. And my dad. He'd find out soon enough, because the order I executed a few hours ago wasn't a warning. It was containment. And at this point, Madeline's apartment wasn't a home anymore. It was a locked box, no exits, no leverage, just time running out. I didn't need to be there to see it happen. I could picture it before the system even pushed the alerts. High-end jewelry store, clean glass counters, soft lighting designed to make everything look more expensive than it already was. Sales staff trained to smile without blinking. The kind of place Madeline walks into like she owns the building, because in her head she usually does. I was sitting in a secured office on base, a different terminal this time. Not SCIF level, but still locked down, still quiet, still mine. I had their accounts flagged for live monitoring, so when the first alert came in, I saw it in real time. Transaction attempt declined. Merchant luxury jewelry retailer. Amount $50,000. Cardholder Julian Mercer. I leaned back slightly. Right on schedule, I said. I opened the transaction log. Julian had used his black card. Of course he did. That card was part of his identity. Status power access all wrapped in a piece of metal he thought made him untouchable. The system didn't agree. Declined. I pulled up the secondary feed tied to the store's security network. Limited access, but enough. There they were. Madeline standing at the counter smiling at the ring like she'd already posted it online. Julian next to her relaxed one hand in his pocket, the other holding the card like it was just a formality. The clerk ran it once, pause, ran it again, longer pause. Then came the look. Every retail worker has it. The one that says something's wrong but they're trying not to say it out loud yet. I'm sorry, the clerk said. It didn't go through. Madeline's smile didn't drop immediately. She let out a small laugh. Try it again, she said. It's probably your machine. Of course it was. Julian didn't look concerned. Not yet. He gave a small nod like he'd seen this before, and it always fixed itself. The clerk ran it again. Same result. This time the machine didn't hesitate. Declined. The red indicator stayed on longer. Madeline's smile tightened. That's not possible, she said. The clerk shifted slightly. Professional, careful. Would you like to try another form of payment? Julian finally reacted. He took the card back, glanced at it like it had personally betrayed him, then pulled out his phone. I'll call the bank, he said. Good choice. I opened the call intercept log. He dialed, waited. Got through faster than most people ever do. That's what priority clients get. This is Julian Mercer, he said. My card is being declined. Pause. His expression changed. Not dramatically, just enough. What do you mean restricted? He asked. Another pause. Then his posture shifted completely. No, he said. That has to be a mistake. I pulled the audio transcript as it updated. Bank representative, sir, your account has been frozen under federal directive. We are not authorized to override this action. Julian went quiet for a second. Federal, he repeated. Madeline leaned in. What are they saying? He held up a hand to stop her. Who issued the directive, he asked. Another pause. Then, we cannot disclose that information. That's when it hit him. Not fully, but enough. He ended the call without saying goodbye. Madeline grabbed his arm. What is it, she demanded. He didn't answer right away. Temporary issue, he said finally. We'll sort it out. Lie. Bad one. Madeline didn't buy it. Julian, she said sharper now. What did they say? He looked at her. Then he said it. Accounts frozen. Silence. Even through the feed I could feel it. Madeline blinked once. That's not funny, she said. I'm not joking. She laughed. Short, forced. Okay, great. So we call someone and fix it. This happens. It's federal, he said. That stopped her, for half a second. Then she pushed right past it. Then it's a mistake, she said. They flagged the wrong account or something. You'll call someone higher up. Julian didn't respond, because he already knew. This wasn't a mistake. They left the store without the ring. No goodbye, no apology. Just tension and controlled panic. I switched feeds. Vehicle tracking picked them up heading back toward the base. Good, that part mattered. Because money was one thing, access was another. The gate camera caught them as they pulled up. Standard procedure, ID check, CAC scan. Julian rolled down the window, handed over his card, like he'd done 1,000 times before. The guard scanned it, waited. Scanned it again, then his expression changed. Subtle, but real. He handed the card back. Sir, he said, your access has been suspended. Julian stared at him. What, your credentials are inactive, the guard repeated. I can't grant entry. Madeline leaned forward from the passenger seat. This is ridiculous, she said. Do you know who he is? The guard didn't react. Yes, ma'am, he said. And I'm telling you, his access is suspended. Julian took the card back slowly. This is a mistake, he said. Yes, sir, the guard replied. You'll need to contact your command. Translation, not my problem. 2 military police officers stepped closer. Not aggressive, just present, but the message was clear. You don't belong here right now. Julian nodded once tight. Understood, he said. They drove off. No shouting, no scene, just pressure building. I leaned forward, watching the next alert come in. Unauthorized access attempt logged. Good. They were starting to push. That meant they were starting to panic. A few minutes later, Julian's phone lit up. New message. Unknown sender. I pulled the intercept. You're being watched. Task force is active. Command Authority Squad Commander Vance. I watched his reaction. He read it once, then again. His grip on the phone tightened. Madeline noticed immediately what she asked. He turned the screen toward her. She read it. Then she laughed. Not nervous, dismissive. Vance, she said. What, like your unit? No, he said. This isn't random. She waved it off. Please, she said. This is scare tactics. Probably someone trying to mess with you. Julian didn't look convinced. Squad commander level isn't a joke, he said. Madeline rolled her eyes. Relax, she replied. You're overthinking it. He didn't answer, so she filled the silence. Besides, she added, smirking, Vance. The only Vance I know is my sister, and she can barely manage a storage room. There it was, the part I expected, the part they needed to believe. Julian looked at her. You're sure, he asked. Madeline laughed again. Julian, she said, she counts boxes for a living. Confidence, pure, untouched. I leaned back in my chair and let the system keep running. They still thought they understood the situation. They still thought this was a glitch, a delay, something they could fix with the right phone call. They didn't realize the system wasn't broken. It was working exactly as designed. And the version of me they built in their heads, the quiet one, the invisible one, the one who counts pencils in a warehouse, that was never real. That was cover. And while they were busy underestimating me, I'd been collecting everything I needed. Every transfer, every shipment, every conversation. Now it was just a matter of timing. Because what they were feeling right now, this wasn't the takedown, this was the first signal. And they were still too arrogant to read it. I unlocked the door before they even knocked. Actually, that's not true. They didn't knock. They slammed into it like they owned the place. The frame shook once, then again before I opened it from the inside. Timing matters. Madeline stood there already mid-sentence like she'd been yelling all the way up the stairs. What did you do? She stopped when the door opened. Not because she was surprised to see me, because I didn't look surprised to see her. Julian stood just behind her, jaw-tight eyes scanning past me into the apartment. Not relaxed anymore, not confident. Good. Come in, I said, stepping aside. Madeline didn't hesitate. She pushed past me like she was entering a space she planned to tear apart. Julian followed slower. They expected cheap. They expected small. They expected something they could laugh at. The place was simple, clean, minimal furniture, no decorations, no clutter, but nothing about it was cheap. Madeline turned in a slow circle. This is it, she said. This is where you've been hiding. I closed the door behind them. No, I said. This is where I work. She ignored that. Looks like a storage unit with better lighting, she added. Still performing, still trying to stay on offense. Julian didn't comment. He was already noticing things. Angles, spacing, what wasn't there, what didn't make sense. Madeline spun back toward me. "Fix it," she said, straight to the point. I walked past her and took my seat at the table, picked up my coffee, took a sip, black, no sugar, still hot. "Fix what I asked." Her expression snapped. "Don't do that," she said. "You know exactly what I'm talking about." I set the cup down. "I don't," I said. Julian stepped in. "Our accounts are frozen," he said. "Controlled. Measured. Trying to keep this from turning into a scene. Access revoked," he added. "Financial and operational." I nodded once. "Sounds inconvenient." Madeline laughed. "Sharp. Inconvenient," she repeated. "We can't access anything. Cards, transfers, accounts, everything is locked." "Then you should call your bank," I said. She stepped closer. "I did," she snapped. "They said it's federal." I shrugged slightly. "That sounds serious." She stared at me, trying to read something, anything. "You did this," she said. Not a question. I leaned back in my chair. "You give me too much credit." That was enough. She lost it. Madeline grabbed the nearest object, a small lamp, and threw it across the room. It hit the wall and shattered. "Stop playing dumb," she shouted. "Fix it, now." I didn't flinch, didn't move. Julian watched me, careful now, calculating. "Cassie," he said slower this time, "if you're involved in this, you need to understand the position you're putting yourself in." I looked at him. "No," I said. "You need to understand yours." Madeline slammed her hand on the table. "I'm not asking again," she said. "Unlock it." I picked up my coffee again, took another sip, set it down. Then I reached into my pocket and pulled out a small device, placed it on the table, clicked it once. A soft light came on. Madeline frowned. "What is that?" she asked. I looked at her. "Everything you say from this point forward is being transmitted in real time to the Inspector General's office," I said. Silence. Not long, but enough. Madeline blinked, then laughed. "You're bluffing," she said. I didn't respond. Julian didn't laugh. He stepped closer to the device, looked at it, then looked around the room. Really looked this time. His eyes moved to the corners, the ceiling, the edges of the walls. His posture changed. "Madeline," he said quietly. She ignored him. "You think this is funny," she said to me. "You think you can scare me with some cheap Madeline," Julian said again. Sharper, she turned. "What?" he pointed. "Look." She followed his line of sight. Small black panel near the ceiling, flush with the surface, not visible unless you knew what to look for. Her expression shifted. Just a little. Julian moved toward another wall, then another. He spotted the second device, then the third. His breathing slowed. Not panic, recognition. "This isn't residential," he said. I didn't interrupt. He walked further in, checked the hallway, paused, then turned back toward me. "This is a secured environment," he said. "Layered monitoring, signal isolation." I smiled slightly. "Keep going," I said. Madeline looked between us. "What is he talking about?" she demanded. Julian didn't answer her. He was still scanning. He noticed the reinforced doorframe, the lack of personal items, the placement of the table. "This is a command node," he said. There it was, finally. I nodded once. "Close enough." Madeline shook her head. "No," she said. "No, this is insane. She lives here. This is her apartment." I leaned forward slightly. "Welcome," I said, to a level 4 restricted operations space. The words landed, hard. Madeline took a step back. "You're lying," she said. I didn't argue. Didn't need to. Julian's face had already changed. He looked at me differently now. Not as a problem, as a threat. "How long?" he asked. "Long enough," I said. Madeline's voice cracked. "What is happening?" No one answered her. She turned back to me. "You set this up," she said. "You planned this." I shook my head. "No," I said. "You walked into it." She took another step back, then another. Her confidence was gone now. Replaced with something else, something quieter. "What do you want?" she asked. I looked at her, then at Julian. "I already have what I need," I said. That's when she snapped again, fear turning back into anger. She lunged forward, hand raised. Same move as last night. Same intention. This time Julian grabbed her wrist before it landed. "Stop," he said. She yanked her arm back. "Don't tell me what to do," she snapped. But she didn't try again. Because now she understood something she didn't before. This wasn't a fight she controlled. Julian's phone buzzed. He checked it. His face went still. What Madeline asked. He didn't answer right away. Then he looked at me. Vehicles inbound, he said. I didn't react. Madeline's eyes widened. What vehicles? Then they heard it, outside. Tires on gravel, fast, not one car, multiple. Stopping hard, doors opening. Madeline turned toward the door. For the first time since she walked in, she looked like she didn't want to be here. I'm leaving, she said. She moved toward the door, hand on the handle, paused, looked back at me, like she was waiting for permission. I didn't give it. She opened the door anyway. The sound outside got louder. Boots, voices, controlled, coordinated. Julian stepped back from the hallway. No sudden movements, no panic, just acceptance. Madeline stood frozen at the door, half in, half out, not sure which side was safer. I picked up my coffee, took one last sip, set it down. Her anger was gone now. What replaced it was simpler, older, fear, the kind that doesn't need explanation. She took a step back into the apartment, closed the door slowly, too late. Because whatever was outside, it wasn't leaving, and it wasn't here to talk. The knock didn't come. The door opened, clean, controlled. No rush, no shouting. 2 agents stepped in first. Suits, not uniforms. Quiet presence. They didn't look at me for instructions. They already had them. Madeline froze where she stood. Julian didn't move at all. Good instincts. Stay where you are, one of the agents said. Not loud, not aggressive, just final. Madeline turned toward me. Call them off, she said, right now. I didn't answer, because this wasn't my part to speak in. Not yet. Julian slowly raised his hands just enough to show compliance. We're not resisting, he said. Smart, Madeline didn't follow. This is illegal, she snapped. You can't just walk into someone's home like this. One of the agents glanced at her. Ma'am, you're currently inside a restricted federal operations space, he said. You don't have standing to make that argument. That shut her up, for about 2 seconds. Then her brain caught up with her mouth. My father is Colonel Richard Vance, she said. Make a call, you'll see how fast this gets fixed. The agent didn't react. Have a seat, he said. She didn't. Julian stepped closer to her. Sit down, he said quietly. This time she listened. Barely. She dropped into the chair like it insulted her. Julian sat next to her. Calm on the outside. Running numbers on the inside. I stayed where I was. No need to move. No need to say anything. A few minutes passed. No one rushed. That's how you know it's real. Then Madeline did exactly what I expected. She reached for her phone. I'm calling Dad, she said. Julian didn't stop her. He wanted that call too. She dialed. Put it on speaker. He picked up on the second ring. What is it? My dad said. Irritated. Busy. Dad, Madeline said, her voice shifting instantly. Softer. Urgent. We have a situation. What kind of situation? They froze everything she said. Accounts access everything. And now there are agents here, at Cassie's place. Silence. Then, put one of them on the phone, he said. Madeline looked at the nearest agent and held the phone out. He wants to speak to you, she said. The agent didn't take it. I'm not part of your chain of command, he said. Madeline pulled the phone back, annoyed. Dad, they're not cooperating. I'll handle it, he said. I could hear him moving on the other end. Papers, a chair, his voice getting sharper. Stay where you are, he told her. Don't say anything else. He hung up. Madeline looked at Julian. See, she said. He's fixing it. Julian didn't respond. Because he already knew something she didn't. Time had shifted. And my dad didn't have the authority he thought he did. I watched the clock. 3 minutes. 5. 7. Madeline checked her phone. Nothing. Julian checked his. Nothing. 10 minutes. Madeline stood up. This is ridiculous, she said. Why isn't he calling back? No one answered, because the answer was obvious. For the first time in 30 years, my dad was calling people who weren't picking up. Because the moment this operation went live, his name stopped carrying weight. Chain of command doesn't care about history. It cares about current authority. And he didn't have any. Madeline started pacing. This doesn't make sense, she said. He knows people. He can fix this. Julian looked at the floor. No, he said quietly. He can't. She stopped. What do you mean he can't? He didn't answer. Because at that exact moment, something else changed. Movement in the room. Not from the agents, from the corner. A space Madeline hadn't noticed when she walked in, because people like her only see what they expect to see. A man stepped forward. No uniform, no rank displayed. Simple suit, but everything about him said military. Posture, presence. The way the room adjusted without him saying a word. Madeline turned. "Who is that?" she asked. Julian didn't answer. He was already standing. Not out of defiance, out of instinct, recognition. I stood up. Not because I had to, because respect matters. The man walked past the agents without acknowledging them. They stepped aside automatically. He stopped at the table, looked at Madeline, then at Julian, then at me. A brief nod. I returned it. Madeline frowned. "What is this?" she demanded. "Who are you?" He didn't answer her. Instead, he reached into the folder he was holding, pulled out a file, dropped it on the table. Flat, heavy, final. "Colonel Richard Vance should read that carefully," he said. His voice was calm, controlled, not loud, didn't need to be. Madeline stared at him. "What are you talking about?" she said. He finally looked at her. "Your husband's contracts," he said. "They have a pattern." Julian didn't move, didn't speak, because he knew. Madeline laughed. Forced. "This is a joke," she said. "You think you can walk in here and it smells like treason," the man said. He didn't raise his voice, didn't emphasize the word. He just said it, and let it land. Madeline's smile disappeared. "That's insane," she said. "You don't know what you're talking about." He didn't argue, didn't debate. He just tapped the file once. Every transfer, he said. Every shipment, every shell account. It's all documented. Julian closed his eyes for half a second. That was enough. Madeline reached for the file. "Give me that," she snapped. The man didn't touch her, didn't block her. He just looked at her. That was enough. She stopped, mid-reach, like she hit something invisible. Her hand slowly dropped. "What is this?" she asked again. Quieter now. No one answered. Because the answer was sitting right in front of her. She just didn't want to read it. Julian finally spoke. "Who are you?" he asked. The man looked at him, then answered. "West." That was it. No title, no explanation. But Julian understood. I saw it in his face. Everything connected at once. He stepped back. Just a little. Madeline looked between us. "West," she repeated. "Like the guy from the warehouse." I didn't react. West didn't either. Julian almost laughed. Not because it was funny, because it was over. "You've got to be kidding me," he said under his breath. Madeline shook her head. "No," she said. "No, this is something else. She pointed at me. "You set this up. You paid him. That's what this is." West didn't respond. He didn't need to. Because people like Madeline need a version of reality they can survive. And I got outplayed isn't one of them. I looked at her. "You still think this is about money?" I asked. She didn't answer. Because for the first time, she wasn't sure what it was about anymore. West turned slightly. "Your father won't be able to help you," he said. Madeline swallowed. "That's not true," she said. "He always—" "Not this time," West said. Simple, final. Julian looked at the floor again. Processing, calculating, too late. Madeline crossed her arms, trying to rebuild something, control, confidence, anything. "This isn't over," she said. West didn't argue. He just looked at her like someone looking at a problem that already has an outcome. "You're right," he said. Then he turned away. Conversation over. Madeline looked at me, still searching, still trying to find the version of me she understood, the one she could dismiss, the one she could control. She didn't find it, because it was never there. And even now she still couldn't accept that. She chose a different explanation, something easier, something safer. She looked back at West, then at me, and made a decision. If she couldn't win here, she'd try somewhere else. A bigger stage, more people, more influence. One last move, one last bet. And I could already see where she was going. Because desperation doesn't create new strategies. It just makes old ones louder. I adjusted the collar before stepping out of the car, not out of habit, out of precision. The driver didn't say anything. He didn't need to. The door opened on time. The entrance was already secured. Lights, cameras, uniforms, everything exactly where it was supposed to be. Military gala nights always follow a pattern. Formal, controlled, predictable, until they're not. I stepped onto the carpet and walked straight toward the entrance. No rush, no hesitation. This wasn't the version of me they were used to seeing. And that was the point. Inside the room was already full. Senior officers, command staff, decorated veterans. The kind of people Madeline had spent her entire life trying to impress. without ever understanding how the system actually works. I scanned the room once, found her in under 3 seconds. Madeline stood near the center, exactly where she thought she belonged. Perfect dress, perfect posture, a glass of champagne in her hand like nothing had gone wrong. She was talking to 2 generals, smiling, leaning in just enough to look confident, not desperate. It was almost impressive. Almost. Julian wasn't next to her. That told me everything. She hadn't fixed anything. She was trying to talk her way out of it. Good luck with that. I stepped further into the room. No announcement, no introduction, just movement. A few heads turned first, then a few more, then the pattern spread. Because uniforms matter, and Class A dress uniforms don't lie. Ribbons, badges, service marks, everything earned, everything documented. No one in that room needed an explanation. Madeline saw it last. She was mid-sentence when she noticed the shift. People weren't looking at her anymore. They were looking past her, at me. She turned and froze. For a second, she didn't recognize what she was looking at, because it didn't match the version of me she had built in her head. Then it clicked. Her expression changed. Confusion first, then disbelief, then something sharper. She took a step toward me, fast, like she could fix this if she got there quickly enough. "What are you doing here?" she said, loud enough to carry. Of course it was. I didn't answer. I kept walking. She stepped directly into my path, blocking, still thinking she had control over the situation. "You don't belong here," she said. "This is a restricted event." I stopped, looked at her, not angry, not amused, just neutral. That made it worse. She laughed, short, sharp. "What you think wearing that makes you someone," she said. "Where did you even get that uniform?" I didn't respond. Behind her, I saw movement, subtle but coordinated. The room was already adjusting. Madeline didn't notice. She was too focused on performing. "Security," she called out, raising her voice. "Can someone remove her? She's not supposed to be here." No one moved, not a single person. She turned annoyed. I said that's when it happened. The first officer stood up straight. Then the second. Then the third. Then all of them. Chairs shifted, heels aligned. And in one clean synchronized motion, step. Boots hit the floor, sharp, controlled, echoing through the entire room. Madeline stopped talking, because the sound wasn't random. It was recognition, respect, authority, and it wasn't for her. Every officer in that room snapped into attention, facing me, not her, not the stage, me. Madeline looked around, trying to understand what she was seeing. Her mouth opened slightly, no words came out. I didn't move, didn't acknowledge it. Because this wasn't for me. This was protocol, and protocol doesn't care about personal reactions. Madeline took a step back. Just one, like the ground shifted under her. Then another, the glass in her hand trembled slightly. Still trying to process, still looking for an explanation that made sense. There wasn't one she could accept, not in real time. Then the final piece dropped. The stage lights shifted. A figure stepped up to the podium. West. Same calm presence, same controlled posture, different context. This time the entire room saw him and understood exactly who he was. He didn't rush, didn't raise his voice, didn't need to. He stepped forward, turned, then stepped. His heel struck the floor, sharp, precise. He raised his hand, salute, clean, direct, to me. The room didn't breathe. "Squad Commander Vance," he said. "Clear," carried across the entire hall without effort. "Target is secured." A pause. Not long, just enough. "My team is standing by for your command." Silence. Heavy, final. Madeline's glass slipped from her hand. It hit the floor, shattered. No one looked down, because no one cared about the glass. They were all looking at her, or through her, depending on how you saw it. She didn't move, didn't speak. Her face went pale. Not dramatic, not exaggerated, just empty, like everything she thought was real had been removed at once. She looked at me, actually looked, not at the version she created, at the reality standing in front of her. And for the first time she understood, not everything, but enough. Enough to know she had miscalculated, badly. Her voice came out lower this time. "Cassie." I didn't answer, because there was nothing to explain. This wasn't a reveal. This was a correction. The room stayed locked in position, waiting, not for her, For me. I stepped forward. One step. That was enough. Wes lowered his salute. The room followed. In perfect timing, no hesitation, no delay. Madeline watched it happen. Every movement, every response, every signal she had spent years trying to fake happening naturally, without her. She shook her head slightly, like she could reset what she was seeing. You planned this, she said. Not confident anymore, just trying to hold on to something. I looked at her. No, I said. I executed it. That landed. Harder than anything else. Because it wasn't emotional, it wasn't personal. It was operational. She took another step back, then another, no direction, no control. Just distance. From me, from the truth, from everything she thought she understood. And still, even now, she wasn't done. Because people like Madeline don't stop when they lose. They escalate. They gamble. They look for one last way out, even when there isn't one. And I could already see it, in her eyes, in the way she straightened her shoulders, in the way she looked toward the stage, toward the audience, toward anyone who might still be useful. She wasn't finished, not yet. And that was fine, because what came next wasn't about revealing anything. It was about ending it. I stepped onto the stage without asking for permission. No announcement, no build-up, just movement. The microphone was already on. Of course it was. Events like this are designed to make noise easy and control easier. I didn't touch it. Didn't need to. The room was already quiet. Everyone watching, everyone waiting. Not for a speech, for a decision. I looked out once, found Madeline, still standing where she froze. Julian next to her, trying to hold himself together, trying to calculate a way out that didn't exist. My dad had just entered the room from the side, late, out of breath. Eyes scanning, still thinking he could fix this, still thinking he mattered here. I didn't say anything. I just lifted my hand slightly. That was enough. Wes turned, gave a small signal, and everything moved. Doors opened, fast, not loud, just precise. Agents came in from both sides of the room, not rushed, not aggressive, just inevitable. The kind of movement that tells you this was planned long before anyone walked into this building. Madeline stepped back. "What is this?" she said. No one answered her, because the answer was already happening. I nodded once. Wes spoke. "Execute." That's when the screens changed. The large display behind me, the one meant for highlight reels and service videos, went black for half a second. Then it lit up again. Not with celebration, with data, account numbers, transaction logs, timestamps, transfer routes. Madeline's company name sat right in the center, clear, undeniable, money moving in, money moving out, patterns that didn't belong in any legal system. The room didn't react right away, because people like this don't jump to conclusions. They verify, they read, they understand. Then they respond. Julian saw it first. His face didn't collapse. It tightened, like something inside him locked into place. He stepped back once, then stopped, because there was nowhere to go. Madeline looked at the screen, then at me, then back at the screen. "No," she said, quiet, then louder. "No, that's not. This is fake. This is fake." No one moved, because it wasn't. I gestured again. Second screen, different data, procurement logs, missing components, reassigned shipments, authorization signatures. Julian's name, repeated, over and over. Then the final layer, communications, the audio file, her voice, his voice, clear, unedited. We get her declared unstable. We move it once she's out of the picture. The room stayed silent, not shocked. Just finished. That's the difference. Shock is emotional. This was confirmation. Madeline shook her head. "This is illegal," she said. "You can't, this isn't real." Julian didn't speak, because he knew exactly how real it was. Agents moved in, 2 on him, fast, controlled. He didn't fight, didn't resist, because resistance would only make it worse. They took him to the ground, clean, efficient, no unnecessary force. Just enough. Metal cuffs locked around his wrists, cold, final. Madeline screamed, high, sharp. She rushed forward. "No, stop, you can't do this." An agent stepped between her and Julian. She shoved him, didn't move him an inch. She turned to me. "You did this," she yelled. "Fix it, tell them to stop." I didn't move, didn't respond, because there was nothing to fix. Julian was already on his knees, head down, finished. Madeline's voice broke. Julian, say something, do something. He didn't look up, didn't speak, because there was nothing left to say. That's when she changed direction. She came toward me, fast, dropped to her knees before she even reached the stage, grabbed at the edge, pulled herself up, hands reaching for me. Cassie, she said. Cassie, please, this is a mistake. You know me. You know I wouldn't. I stepped back, just enough that she couldn't touch me. Her hands grabbed air. She froze, then tried again. Please, she said, we can fix this. I'll fix this. Just call them off. You have authority, right? You can do that. I looked at her, not angry, not satisfied, just done. Behind her, my dad pushed through the crowd. Cassie, he shouted. There it was, the voice. The authority he thought still worked. He made it to the front, looked at me like this was still a conversation he could control. What are you doing? He demanded. Stop this, right now. I didn't answer. He stepped closer. You're part of the government, he said. You have influence. Use it. This is your family. Family. Interesting timing. Madeline looked up at me. Hope. Desperate. Fragile. My dad stepped even closer. You don't destroy your own family, he said. That's not how this works. I stepped down from the stage, closed the distance, stopped right in front of him, looked him in the eyes. Same man, same voice, different position. Family, I repeated. He nodded. Yes, he said. Exactly. I glanced down at Madeline, still on her knees, still reaching, then back at him. Family isn't something you throw water on in front of a room full of people, I said. His expression shifted, just slightly. It isn't something you ignore until you need something from it. He opened his mouth. I didn't let him speak. And it definitely isn't something you call when you're about to lose everything. Silence. He stared at me, trying to find the version of me that would back down. He didn't find it. I leaned in slightly, lowered my voice just enough that only he heard the next part. Your pension, I said. It's gone. He blinked. What complicity, I said. Failure to report. Obstruction by association. His face changed. Not anger, not yet. Understanding. Slow, heavy. You knew enough, I said. And you chose to ignore it. That's not, he started. It is, I said. I stepped back, looked at both of them, then turned slightly. Take them, I said. Agents moved. Madeline screamed again. This time it wasn't anger. It was fear, real, unfiltered. She tried to grab onto me one last time, missed. They pulled her back. Julian didn't resist, didn't look up, didn't say a word. My dad stood there, frozen, not shouting anymore, not commanding anything, just watching everything collapse in real time. The room stayed quiet. No applause, no reactions, because this wasn't entertainment. This was consequence. I turned back toward the stage, didn't look at them again, because there was nothing left to see. They had already lost. And the part they didn't understand yet, this wasn't the end. This was just the part everyone got to witness. The rest of it, that would be quieter, longer, and end permanent. I didn't think about them for a while. Not because I couldn't. Because there was nothing left to process. A month is a long time when you're rebuilding your life. It's also a very short time when everything you built gets taken apart, piece by piece. Julian went first. Federal court doesn't move fast, but it moves clean when the evidence is complete. 25 years, no negotiation, no reduction, no surprise. The charges were exactly what they looked like. Unauthorized transfer of restricted technology, foreign distribution, financial laundering tied directly to operational risk. He didn't argue much, didn't try to play smart, because at that point there was nothing left to argue. Madeline held on longer. Of course she did. Public image matters to people like her. Reputation, perception, control. She tried to salvage it. Statements, lawyers, denials, none of it worked. Her accounts were gone. Her company was gone. Her name meant something different now. Not success, not influence, just a case file. She was looking at 10 years, minimum, maybe more if she kept talking the wrong way. And my dad, that part was quieter. No courtroom, no headlines, just consequences. The house was gone, assets reviewed, benefits revoked, pension terminated. He moved into a small rental on the edge of the city. No staff, no events, no one calling him colonel like it still meant something. That part always hits the hardest. Not the loss of money, the loss of identity. I didn't go see him. He didn't call. For once we both understood the situation clearly. It was over. I stayed focused on work. New assignments, new team rotations, different priorities. The kind of life where what you do matters more than what people think you are. Cleaner, simpler, better. Then one day I walked out of the Pentagon and saw them, all three, standing across the street, in the rain, no umbrellas, no cars, just standing there like they didn't know where else to go. I stopped, not because I was surprised, because I wanted to decide how to handle it. Madeline saw me first. Of course she did. She always notices opportunity, even when there isn't one. Cassie, she called out. Her voice wasn't the same, lower, unstable. I didn't respond. I stepped off the curb and walked toward them anyway. Not fast, not slow, just direct. Rain hit my jacket. Didn't matter. By the time I reached them, all three were looking at me like I was something they could still reach. They couldn't. Madeline stepped forward, closer than she should have. "Cassie, please," she said. "We need to talk." I looked at her, not angry, not cold. Just finished. "There's nothing to talk about," I said. My dad stepped in. "We made mistakes," he said. "We know that, but this doesn't have to end like this." I tilted my head slightly. "It already did," I replied. Madeline shook her head. "No," she said. "No, you can still fix this. You have connections. You have authority. You can help us." I almost smiled. Almost. "You still don't understand," I said. She stepped closer. "I do," she said quickly. "I get it now. I was wrong. We were wrong. Just give us a chance to fix it." Julian didn't speak. He just stood there, quiet, different. Like he finally understood what silence actually means. My dad tried again. "You don't abandon your family," he said. I looked at him. For a second, then I said it. "Family isn't automatic." That stopped him. Madeline's voice cracked. "We're still your blood," she said. "That's not enough," I replied. Rain kept falling. No one moved. No one else around us paid attention. That's the thing about big buildings and important places. They make personal moments feel small. I reached into my pocket, pulled something out, a folded napkin, plain, slightly worn. I held it for a second, then stepped forward and placed it in Madeline's hand. She looked down at it, confused, then back at me. "What is this?" she asked. "You gave it to me," I said. She frowned. "I didn't." "You did?" I cut in last month. At the table, it clicked. Slowly, her face changed. Not anger, not denial, recognition. I let that sit. "Keep it," I said. She held on to it like it meant something, like it could fix something. It couldn't. My dad stepped forward again. "This doesn't have to be permanent," he said. I looked at him one last time. This time, there was nothing left to figure out. No questions, no conflict, just a line, clear, final. "Family is a choice," I said. They didn't interrupt, didn't argue, because they knew. I chose my team, I continued. I chose people who don't throw things at me when they feel powerful, and don't come looking for me when they're about to lose everything. Madeline's eyes filled. Too late, way too late. I stepped back. "Don't call me again," I said. No emotion, no hesitation, just instruction. Then I turned, walked away, didn't look back, didn't wait. A black SUV pulled up right on time. Rear door already open. I got in, the door closed behind me, muted everything outside. Rain, voices, regret, all of it. Gone. The car pulled away smoothly. No rush, no drama, just forward. I leaned back in the seat, looked straight ahead. No thoughts about what I left behind. Because some things aren't meant to be fixed. They're meant to end. And once they do, you don't revisit them. You don't explain them. You don't carry them. You move on. That's the part no one tells you about revenge. It's not loud. It's not emotional. It's quiet, clean. And when it's done, you don't feel powerful. You feel free. If you think this story is about revenge, you miss the point. It wasn't about getting even. It wasn't about proving I was better. And it definitely wasn't about making them suffer. It was about finally seeing things clearly. Because the truth is, none of what happened that night started with a glass of water. That was just the moment it became visible. The first lesson I learned is this: disrespect never starts loud. It starts small. It starts with jokes that don't feel right, comments that get brushed off, moments where you're ignored, talked over, or treated like you don't matter. And most people let those things go. I did too. At the time, it feels easier, less dramatic, more mature. But here's what I didn't understand back then. People test your boundaries before they break them. The first time they disrespect you, they're watching how you respond. The second time, they're checking if it's allowed. The third time, they've already decided it is. And after that, it's not their behavior anymore. It's the standard you accepted. So here's the rule I live by now. The first time someone crosses a line, that's information. The second time, it's a pattern. The third time, it's on you if it continues. The second lesson is one people get wrong all the time. Silence is not weakness, it's strategy. At that party, I didn't react, I didn't argue, I didn't defend myself, I didn't try to win in that moment. And a lot of people think that means I lost. They're wrong, because reacting emotionally in the wrong environment gives control away. That wasn't a place where I had leverage. It was her space, her audience, her narrative. Anything I said would have been used against me, so I didn't play the game, I changed the battlefield. That's something you can use in your own life. Not every situation deserves your reaction. Not every insult deserves your energy. If you respond in the wrong place, you're already behind. So instead of asking, how do I respond? Ask, where do I respond? Because power isn't about reacting fast. It's about choosing the right moment. The third lesson was harder. People show you who they are early. You just don't want to believe it. For a long time, I thought my dad didn't understand what was happening. I thought he was misinformed, manipulated, maybe even pressured. He wasn't. He chose a side, and it wasn't mine. That realization doesn't feel dramatic. It feels quiet, heavy, like something you can't argue with. Because once you see it, you can't unsee it. A lot of people stay stuck here. They rewrite reality to make it easier to accept. They say things like, he didn't mean it. She was just stressed. They'll change. Maybe, but maybe not. And the version of someone you wish existed is not the same as the version that shows up. So here's the rule. Stop rewriting people to match your expectations. Accept what they show you, not what you hope they are. Because clarity might hurt more than betrayal. But it saves you from wasting years on the wrong people. The fourth lesson is one most people avoid talking about. Financial independence is not about money. It's about control. They didn't want my money because they needed it. They wanted it because it gave them leverage. If they controlled my resources, they controlled my options. Where I lived, what I did, how I moved, everything. And that's not unique to my situation. It happens every day, in families, in relationships, in careers. If someone can control your income, your access, or your stability, they can control your decisions. That's the reality. So the goal isn't just to make money, it's to build independence. Because independence gives you one thing most people don't have: the ability to say no and mean it. The fifth lesson is what most people misunderstand about revenge. Real revenge is not emotional, it's structural. I didn't yell, I didn't fight, I didn't try to hurt them the way they hurt me. I built a case, I gathered facts, I waited, and then I acted when it mattered. That's not dramatic, it's effective, because emotional reactions burn out fast, but structured actions, they last. So if you're thinking about getting even with someone, here's better advice. Don't focus on hurting them. Focus on positioning yourself. Make better decisions. Build stronger systems. Create distance. Because the most powerful outcome isn't watching them fall. It's reaching a point where they don't matter anymore. That night didn't change them. It didn't turn them into better people. It didn't fix anything about who they were. What it changed was me. It changed how I evaluate people, how I set boundaries, how I decide who gets access to my life. And once that shift happens, you don't go back. Because the biggest lesson wasn't about them. It was about what I was willing to tolerate. And what I'm not anymore. I don't live the same way anymore. Not because I became stronger overnight, not because I suddenly figured everything out, but because I see things faster now, clearer. And once you see clearly, you don't move the same. The first thing I changed is simple. Not everyone gets access to me anymore. That used to sound harsh. Now it sounds necessary. A lot of people grow up believing that family automatically gets a front row seat in your life. Your time, your attention, your energy, no questions asked. That belief causes more damage than people realize. Because access is not something people deserve by default. It's something they prove they can handle. If someone consistently disrespects you, ignores your boundaries, or only shows up when they need something, they don't lose your love. They lose your access, and those are two different things. So now I decide who I answer, who I see, who I give my time to, not based on history, based on behavior. The second thing I changed, I stopped explaining my boundaries. This one took time, because most people feel the need to justify themselves, to explain, to make sure the other person understands. But here's what I learned: the more you explain, the more people think it's a negotiation. They start looking for gaps, ways around it, arguments to push back. So I stopped doing that. Now when something doesn't work for me, I say it once, clear, direct, and then I move on. No long conversations, no debates, no trying to convince anyone, because I'm not asking for permission to protect myself. And neither should you. No is a complete sentence. It doesn't need support. The third thing I changed, I pay attention to actions, not words. After everything that happened, the apologies came. Of course they did. They always do after consequences. After the situation flips. After people realize they're losing something. And that's when you have to be careful. Because words sound good when people need something, but timing tells the truth. If someone treats you badly when they have power and treats you well when they don't, that's not growth. That's strategy. So now I don't listen to what people say. I watch what they do, especially when they think no one is paying attention. That's where the real version shows up. The fourth thing I changed, I built a different kind of family, not by blood, by choice. The people I trust now aren't perfect. They're not always easy, but they're consistent. They show up the same way every time. They don't need me to be smaller so they can feel bigger. They don't compete with me. They don't test me. They respect the space I take up, and I do the same for them. That's what matters. Because at the end of the day, the people around you shape your life more than anything else. So choose carefully, not based on history, based on how they treat you when it matters. The fifth thing I changed is the one most people struggle with. When I walk away, I don't look back. No checking in, no just to see, no reopening doors that were closed for a reason, because leaving halfway creates more problems than staying. If you decide to move on, do it completely, not emotionally tied, not waiting for closure. Because closure doesn't come from conversations, it comes from decisions. And once you make that decision, you stick to it. Even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's quiet, even when part of you wants to go back just to make sure you did the right thing. You did. That's why you left. Here's the part most people don't expect. They lost everything, their money, their reputation, their position, but that's not why I won. That's not the point. I didn't win because they fell. I won because I stopped needing them. I stopped needing their approval, their validation, their version of what my life should look like. And once you remove that, you're not reacting anymore. You're choosing, and that changes everything. So if you take anything from this, let it be this: you don't need to fight everyone who disrespects you. You don't need to prove anything to people who already made up their minds. And you definitely don't need to keep people in your life just because they've been there for a long time. What you need is clarity, boundaries, and the willingness to walk away when something no longer aligns with who you are. Because the real shift doesn't happen when they change. It happens when you do. And once you do, you don't go back. You don't need to. You've already moved on.
Final note. This story is a work of fiction, but the valuable lessons we discuss are entirely real and continue to happen to many people every day. If this style isn't for you, that's perfectly okay. Please feel free to look for other content that better suits your needs.